Once you get the motor separated by the 4 bolts underneath, you can take these 2 bolts out. That long bolt goes out. Clean all these back up when we put them together. Let's see if we can get that one out. We're going to get transmission apart. You might want to leave these 2 on there. Set it up there like that. And there's your transmission. As you spin this, it spins. It looks like it's like maybe a 10-to-1 ratio or something. So I'm not sure, but we're gonna clean it all out. We're gonna take it apart and see what's in there. Lube it all up and make sure she works right. There's also some, looks like it's really scarred in here. Not sure if there was dirt in there or what, but we're gonna clean all that up. Maybe take some Scotch-Brite and smooth that up. Try not to, you know, oval shape it or anything like that, but we'll clean it back up and see how that works out. Looks like I'm gonna take the transmission apart. Let's see what's in there. What do I got? Let's take a peek and see what's in these things. Using a 3/8 on this. They don't look like they're very tight neither. This one is, but it's still coming out. Bolts out. There's a couple of small ones there. Definitely tell she's dry in there. Looks like this side comes off first. Okay. Kind of gently taking it apart. I'm going to lubricate my ends. That way my shafts slide apart a little easier. Seems like it's getting a little rough. It's got easier now that I put that lubricant on it. Stuff around my shaft that needs to come out. Definitely doesn't want to come out of there. I'm going to take some sandpaper and go around it because it seems like it's sticking there a little bit. Then we'll get into what's wrong with it. I can tell you right now, but what fun is that? See all the brass, looks like a brass bushing that's in there. And this is just all chewed up. Alright, as I separate it, you can see all the metal shavings down in here where my gear has just been chewing it up. I don't know if they put it under too much load or what, but the gear is chewed up. All the teeth are real sharp. So I'm sure they've been eating off the teeth off of it. You can get the shaft off of this side as well. If I can clean the whole thing out. There we go. As you can see, my gears ate up pretty well. I'll clean all this up in gas and we'll figure out what we're going to do from there. Alright, the problem that we're having is, if you can see this, my shaft here is ate out on the bushing. And that's usually what happens. If you hold down on the shaft or hold the bushing up, you can rotate them. But what happens is this bushing gets ate out, and then as it slides down, you can see it cocks down. And there's your slop in it. So these bushings get ate out, and that's what starts eating up this gear. Now, hopefully your gear in yours, if it ain't too ate up, see I still got teeth here when it's engaged all the way. So when I replace the bushings in it, then it'll be okay to actually work, even though they're chewed up. But if yours are too far gone, even with new bushings, you're not going to be able to make it work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this up. I'm going to pull this bushing out. And then what I'll do is I'll probably have to unscrew this piece off the top and get that bushing as well. I'll have to mic this out. The top one is loose as well. You can see it move back and forth. So it needs 2 new bushings put in it. And that'll fix the transmission. If you don't have the capability of making your own bushings, you might want to look up McMaster-Carr. If you look up McMaster-Carr, you might be able to measure the dimensions of this. If you can see down in here, if you look down in here, you can see how it's been wearing. But if you flip the bearing over, you can see the original size of the hole. It's been wearing on the inside. So you can see how it's wallered it out on this side, but you can still take the dimensions of this side. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to basically just use this dimensions right here, the dimensions out here, the dimensions out here, the thickness, and I'll make a new bushing for it. I'll put it on a lathe and cut it out off some stock, and then I'll go ahead and use a Bridgeport and mill that side off there like that. So I'll make me a new one. Okay, I disassembled the transmission here and the gear that's down at the bottom, and there's a gear at the top. The gear at the top, I pressed a sleeve into it to make it back a 1/2 inch, and then the bottom one, I ordered another one that was similar to the old one. 9 times out of 10, the bushing gets ate out to the side. Well, you can order a whole new bushing from McMaster-Carr, and what I did was I just kind of put it to each other, as you can see here, and I marked it, and then I grinded it down, and then I took a file and just trimmed it up so it was real close. The bushing, the lower bushing they sell is like identical to it. It's a little bit thicker, and because of the rim up here that's a little bit thicker, what I did was, since this was thinner than that one, I went ahead and just removed the lower shim that set on top. I took that shim out, and that basically gave me the difference between that. So didn't get to show you that because I already done put it back together, cleaned it all up. I was basically at the shop when I did it, so didn't get really a chance to show you that, but I already got this one back together. Don't forget, I put a little silicone in between it to seal it back up so it'll hold the grease in it. And what you do is you have your grease fitting here, and then there's an overflow there, so you just kind of grease it here until it comes out the hole, and then you stick the screw back in it. As far as torque specs, didn't really have any kind of torque specs on it. I just tightened it down until it got tight, got snug, and then I went an additional like 10 to 15 degrees on it, and just made sure the case was tight on it. So there's putting it back together. It now spins freely, and the gears in it are nice and tight again. But the top one, I actually had to drill out. Once I drilled that out, I went ahead and pressed the sleeve into it to make it back a 1/2 inch drive. You don't always have to change out the top bushing, but it is bigger, and you can't buy that at McMaster-Carr. They don't have the size unless you order it specifically. If you need that specifically, you can order it, but it's more like 43 to 45 bucks. So these were only like $1.50 or so, the brass ones, the lower one. So there you have it on the transmission. It's now back together, and it's spinning freely. It don't bind up or anything, and works real good. So don't forget to pre-grease it before you put it back together. Coming out the hole. Transmission is full. After every use, you're supposed to grease those. I don't know why after every one, but it said, the instructions say after every use you should grease those. Little fitting that goes on here, it's a little dust, keeps dust and dirt out of your bearing. We always put them on first. That side goes in first. And that's how you fix a tiller transmission. Not bad for an auto mechanic, huh?